Hello, my name is Juan Sebastian. I'm the writer and director of the short film Kisses to Kevin.
I remember growing up in the film industry in my 20s that people were always mentioning, like, you don't want to be known as the gay director.
And this is the amazing team that made it a reality.
Took me a minute to watch it, get up the courage and finally watch it. But when I did, it was really cool.
Creo que como uno de los desafíos más grandes en esto fue trabajar a distancia.
Initially he only sent me the script because he wanted to get some notes, but I loved it so much that that's when I told him, like, can I produce it?
Of course, we shot the whole thing in just one day. So very, very ambitious.
Cada uno sí tiene un cargo, digamos, principal, pero somos un grupo de amigos trabajando, echándonos la mano.
Es corto, pero son dos personajes tan bien desarrollados que uno rápidamente se engancha y quiere saber más.
Because I had the opportunity to work and learn from these talented people.
Join us in this behind-the-scenes special where we will dive deep in the creation of Kisses to Kevin and travel to Argentina, Colombia, and the US to meet the artists that made it a reality.
You're really annoying, you know that? I don't know why I feel I'm missing closer with Mackenzie. Just having a
Kisses to Kevin is a love story. It's a story about two guys that meet for a hookup and that they're thinking of staying a little bit longer.
And one of them wants something else, but the other one, even though you can feel Sam wants something else, he's afraid of taking the next step. So what you can see on Kisses to Kevin is that fight between what you want, what you need, and what you're afraid of.
You're really annoying, you know that?
Stop.
Come here. Come here.
Stop.
Writing Kisses to Kevin was really interesting because it took me a few drafts to actually come out with a final story. I wanted to create two characters that were going to fall in love no matter what was happening around them. Like, everything was helping them and supporting that road to falling in love. And it was hard for me, especially because the experience in LA has been different with the LGBT community, with dating apps. I wanted two characters that were just floating in the same water.
Never done all that before, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you finally decided to accept. You're very cute.
It was very exciting and very challenging shooting in one day in one location and knowing that we wanted to launch it on YouTube in less than a month after shooting.
Working with Juliet was such a privilege and such an honor. Juliet is one of the most important actresses in Colombia, and she's very experienced with storytelling. And having her this time as a producer was such a blast and such a blessing. There's many producers that make you feel that they're doing you a favor just because they're producing your film. There's other producers that want to change your artistic point of view just because it might be a little bit more expensive, some ideas. And Juliet was never questioning any of the ideas, instead trying to understand how she could make it a reality.
Kisses to Kevin is a love letter to the world, not only to the LGBT community, but to a society that needs to find love, that needs to connect with love, and needs to act from love, from a place of love.
Está preocupada no solamente por el bienestar del equipo creativo, sino por el bienestar del equipo de talento, del equipo técnico, en todos los aspectos. Y es una mujer que resuelve, optimiza que no se queda pensando en que no tenemos esto o que nos falta aquello, sino que listo, ¿dónde lo encontramos? ¿Cómo lo vamos a buscar? Si no hay eso, entonces reemplacemos con aquello, súper recursiva.
She brought all of her talent, all of what she is, to this short film, and you can see her heart. Even though people are used to seeing her on the screen, she might not be directly on the screen, but she is in all of the movie.
So Kevin is a pretty, I really like Kevin a lot. I kind of identified with him a lot throughout the script. I can be kind of a little closed off and shy when it comes to any romantic kind of thing, so I really understood kind of where he was coming from, especially not wanting to like kind of fully dive into hookup culture. It can kind of really put you through the ringer, so I can understand why he was a little closed off and guarded and didn't just want to hook up with just anyone, you know. He wanted to get to know the person and really connect with them.
Kevin is this naive, very handsome, young gay guy living in LA who's not used to this hookup culture, who's not used to sharing his body with strangers.
Oh my God. We're just exactly like everyone else. You think that because we had sex and I'm inviting you to brownies, I'm hoping to date?
So the audition process was really interesting. I really like that process where you are exploring so many different actors and possibilities for people to play the role you're auditioning for. But it's also very unique when you are able to watch the character you have envisioned when writing, and that happened immediately when we got the audition with from Michael Gold, who plays Kevin. His audition was amazing. It was incredible to see, just without him even speaking the first lines, how he was already portraying the character and getting into the energy of the character.
There's people in this world that are meant to meet but don't because of a picture. Can you believe that? There's people in this world that are meant to meet but don't because of a picture. Can you believe that?
Yeah. The world is very narcissistic.
But I didn't meet you because of your picture.
Este personaje tiene, guarda cosas en frascos de vidrio. Estos frascos de vidrio, lo que estoy queriendo contar con esto es que es un personaje que es transparente, que uno puede ver adentro de él, y aún así es cuidadoso y ese frasco está cerrado. No es impenetrable, pero ese frasco está cerrado.
I think we're very lucky to have him as our Kevin, because as soon as we saw his tape, and he, just from seeing his eyes and the way he said the lines, it was so clear that he understood Kevin's world and he understood the emotions that he needed to go through in order for us as the audience to connect with him.
Movie. Heard of acting, directing, but accounting?
Oh, yeah? Well, I don't know. I mean, numbers have always been my thing, and it was because of that movie that made me want to do it at Sony. It changed my life as a kid.
Which one?
Working with Michael was awesome. He's the consummate professional, super interested in collaborating and exploring and finding those beats and shifts that we could really tell a story that was truthful and poignant and resonated with, I think, a lot of the people that were watching it.
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun getting to work on the character with Mackenzie and Juan. It was, I mean, Juan, when he sent me the script, it was really beautiful, and it was pretty easy for me to connect with the character overall. So just getting to work with them on like the little subtle beats and actions was something that was a lot of fun to do in collaboration. I am. At least I did a bit.
You did good. better be going.
The audition process for me was actually quite unusual. I had submitted for a similar project from Juan Sebastian, the director, and didn't end up doing that particular project, but then he circled back with me and asked me to audition for this project, which ended up being the way it was supposed to happen because I absolutely loved being a part of this project.
I had auditioned Mackenzie before for one of my previous projects, Imperfect People, so I knew his work and I knew he was really good. So I reached back to him and asked him to send me another self-tape, this time auditioning for Sam.
I don't think I can. Besides, I don't want this to be misinterpreted.
Besides, I don't want this to be misinterpreted.
Because he could portray all the emotions that Sam is going through. Because like you're always debating between like, do I love him? Do I hate him? Am I connecting with his emotions or not? And I think Mackenzie did an amazing job portraying those emotions and making us feel as in those relationships where things don't go as we want.
In the movie, I definitely play the more, let's say, sleazy character, maybe a little bit more interested in the physical stuff rather than actually connecting with someone. We've all met those people that are, you know, just here for a good time, not a long time. And that is definitely Sam.
I don't date. We hooked up. The brownie and ice cream were amazing, but I knew I shouldn't have, but you're so cute. It seems impossible to say no to you.
You just did.
I don't want to confuse stuff.
When we see Sam walking alone on Kevin's room, he goes and picks some elements of decoration. He picks the picture of the ghost, and that immediately takes him back to when he was younger and his favorite movie, Ghostbuster. And then he moves and sees another picture of two cats, and that reminds him of his own cat. So the whole place, it's making him stay.
We see him trying to figure out, okay, what is this? Is this just a hookup? Is this something more? Is it something in between? And what does that conversation look like? So it was really surprising for me to explore that and try and figure out where that lives within myself and how I can bring myself to the work as much as possible as well.
Mackenzie is an incredible actor. It was super easy getting to work with him, honestly. We had never really met prior to it, so, well, no, we had never met prior to it, so just getting onto set, that can be kind of a little nerve-wracking, especially if you don't know anyone involved, but, you know, we kind of just talked a little bit, kind of linked up, and it was kind of like an immediate trust situation, so I really felt safe with him, and yeah, it was just super easy getting to, like, working with him. He's a really fun and talented guy.
Because we had sex and I'm inviting you to brownies, I'm hoping to date.
I don't want you to get confused since you don't hook up often.
And you do?
Yeah, I don't have a problem hooking up with other people. In fact, I think it's actually good for me since I'm not that social.
It was a challenge working with Sabrina for this short film, just because Sabrina was not in Los Angeles. She was in Argentina, in La Plata, Argentina, and she had to create everything from there, from the concept to guiding the whole team to handcrafting everything she wanted. Sabrina likes to create things with her hands.
Por lo tanto, los proyectos que hacíamos en conjunto y viajando han tenido que tomar formas diferentes. En esas formas diferentes hubo que encontrar unas nuevas metodologías de trabajo, al principio muy complejas, y ya con el tiempo le estamos tomando la mano.
She was doing the whole shooting online through the camera, watching the shots, watching how everything was being made. When we were building the set, we were with her on the camera.
Sabrina. Working with Sabrina was amazing. I have to confess that at the beginning, when I knew she was working remote from Argentina, I didn't know how that was going to be. But it was great. She had an amazing vision of what she wanted on the set, and she explained to me all the things that she wanted in Kevin's room and why she wanted that.
Los objetos son metáforas de la vida del dueño de esta habitación y de la cosa y de lo que vaya a pasar. Entonces, dentro de mi proceso, yo armo una paleta de color para el set, una paleta de color para cada personaje, y vemos y se revisan las interacciones que van a tener esas paletas de color, en qué momento, y sobre esa paleta de color que tiene una intencionalidad, empiezo a descubrir qué objetos tiene este personaje, en este caso en su habitación. Entonces, todo es a través de preguntas. ¿Este personaje tendría una cama blanca? ¿Tendría una cama negra? No, no tendría cama. El colchón está en el piso, él tiene un contacto terrenal, él tiene un contacto con esto, de estar cómodo, de estar cerquita. No es que no tiene cama porque sea pobre, es porque es una elección estética de este personaje. En un frasco hay botones, los botones tienen una simbología hermosa sobre lo que uno guarda, lo que uno cierra a través del botón, o lo que uno abre cuando se abre un botón, pero es solamente el botón. Es también estamos hablando también de un personaje que tiene un deseo estético importante, un deseo por hacer de lo cotidiano pequeños objetos bonitos, casi de colección. Podríamos decir que es un personaje que toma objetos y los convierte en sus propias reliquias, en sus propias obras de arte.
And what the books meant in the room, and what the guitar meant, and like all the little things that we had, that we needed to have in the short film. Even though she wasn't here, we could translate what she wanted to have in the set, and she was very clear about the things she wanted, but she was very open to change things that we could maybe not find here. So I really appreciate when you work with a production designer and that person knows what they want, but at the same time, they're flexible to play and use what we have around. And we were like solving problems while she was there, but she was like all the time texting me and like, what do you need? And I have this and I found this. So working with a mural, for example, was very challenging, but I have to say that having Laura in our team and having this beautiful mind that Sabrina has, we could have at the end what she envisioned for the short film, and that was beautiful to see.
Que fue una experiencia nueva para mí y hermosa, pero hacer que a miles de kilómetros alguien hiciera el mural que yo tenía o que yo pretendía pintar.
¿Es esta? Esta no es, ¿no? Ay.
¿Cuál lámpara?
¿Esta es la lámpara o es la otra?
Esta que está acá.
Es esa.
Creo que esa que está allá.
I had the responsibility to create with my hands everything that she had in her mind. So that was the biggest challenge for creating the mural, the distance, because Sabrina directed the entire process through video calls. And I had this responsibility to materialize the concept, the design, everything that she had in her mind.
Es un mural que está hecho sobre papel periódico, tiene información, tiene una gigantografía de una foto donde hay una boca que podría ser que no es de nadie, no es su boca, no es la boca de un hombre, no es la boca de una mujer, pero es una boca que está ahí para los besos, para que le traiga la vida y está cerca. Y obviamente en congruencia con un diseño estético que conforma la habitación.
So the first scene is a really interesting moment in the story, and of course, as a director, a very delicate moment to shoot. It's the moment when they are having sex, and it's their first sexual encounter, but it's also their first real connection. that moment after them having sex, they understand there's something that the other one might have and that they would like to share with them. So it was very interesting. People were a little bit scared, I have to be honest. The crew was really not worried, but more questioning how we were going to shoot in a very respectful way the scene, especially because we didn't want it to put anyone in a difficult position when you're shooting kisses, when you're just putting two bodies of two strangers together. You just have to create a special energy for the actors and for the crew, for it to be believable, but also for it to be professional, and that you know that you're doing your job and that you're not making the actors especially and the whole crew feel uncomfortable with what they are experiencing.
So, like you said, you've been asking for 2 years. Talk to me about your cat.
Don't talk about her to anyone.
I know you will do it.
You don't.
I could. I am. Yes, I did.
So filming the first scene, I mean, anytime you film any scene, whether it's the first scene in the script or just the first one that you're shooting, can be a big kind of leap of faith, really. But, you know, like I said earlier, Mackenzie and I talked a little bit before we started, and so did Juan. He kind of pulled us aside and talked to us a little bit, and it didn't, you know, normally, like, my anxiety and my nerves are kind of all over the place right before, like, action's called, but this time it felt really just chill, and we all knew what we were doing. It was really seamless, honestly. I felt really safe and protected, and, you know, Mackenzie and I could kind of just, like, link up, and then we were off, really.
Well, I'll answer and you want to talk about the sex scene? Both Michael and I really wanted to do it justice and work as authentically and truthfully as possible. So just surrounding yourself in the truth of the moment, and then making sure that everyone is comfortable with everything. That's a key point. Everyone was super intentional with making sure that both Michael and I felt comfortable and felt safe, which is always appreciated. You know, for people that want to know sort of the behind the scenes stuff, all of that voiceover that you hear from that B-roll shots of the different things around the room and whatnot, that VO was actually captured separately with Michael and I just recording a voiceover of us making sex noises.
And action.
But I also was very clear with the vision of how I was going to shoot this scene. I knew I didn't want it to have the whole act going on. I knew the specific shots I needed to tell the whole scene, to make it believable.
La primera canción es esta que da inicio pues al corto, y donde Sebas me decía, yo quiero que se sienta que estos dos están teniendo un polvazo. No que están haciendo el amor, no que se sienta tan romántico, sino que se sienta apasionado, que se sienta la emoción de algo desconocido, pues, y de algo nuevo. Entonces, teniendo esto en cuenta, utilicé algunas texturas así estridentes, como que generaran esa sensación de sensibilidad, y esto acompañado o emulando el latido del corazón, que nos lleva como al ritmo que se va acelerando y se va acelerando hasta que nos lleva al clímax.
I'm super happy working back with Santiago. We did a short film in Colombia in 2012 called Prague. So having him again as the composer of Kisses to Kevin was very exciting. He's not only a great composer, but a great singer. And his music, it's now unbelievable. Like, I have all of his songs in my playlist. And for me, it was such a privilege to be able to use Never Lonely as the main song of the film. And not only using one of his songs that I have in my playlist, but for him to create music exclusively for the film, it was amazing.
And his music, like his heart, his soul, all the things that he wanted to express in the short film are in his music. And I think we're so lucky to have what he created, what he wrote. I know he and Juan Sebastian, they worked together creating what the short film needed.
Because we have been friends for so many years, we have a deeper connection. We understand each other's artistic point of view. We have built stories before. So for us to go back again to that creative mode was amazing. It went really fast. It floated really fast. Santi did almost all of the music in less than a month.
Y eso me enamoró mucho, mucho. Hizo que todo fluyera muy, 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 muy lindo. Con Sebas intercambiamos mensajes a altas horas de la noche, teniendo en cuenta los cambios de horario y demás, pero siempre muy, muy conectados. Y eso de que fluyera todo lindo.
Shut up. You should have led with that. I'm obsessed with ice cream.
Really?
Yeah, I am obsessed. Like, I could eat it every day if I could.
Always so greedy?
It's been an interesting process kind of peering into hookup culture for this project.
Awesome.
What that means for actual connection, and do you associate connection with sex, or is it separate? Can you have physical touch without that emotional connection? What happens when that emotional connection is unexpected? So there's a lot of themes that I was just sort of exploring, and working on this project in such a collaborative environment has allowed me to find moments that even I wasn't expecting in the process.
La canción de Sam es la única que está en una tonalidad diferente y la pensé así precisamente para salirnos un poco del cuarto de Kevin y entrar un poco en la sensación y en la intimidad y en el pecho de Sam. Entonces lo que busqué fue que sonara muy íntimo. Utilicé texturas muy sutiles y filtré todo para que se sintiera abajo del agua, y esto genera como un efecto de suspenso, pero pues yo lo que quería era que se generara un suspenso emocionante, como a diferencia de un suspenso pues de terror o algo así.
It was great conversations that we had that went back and forth about what was the texture in terms of sound, what was that color that we wanted to create for each character. So Kevin has a unique sound, Sam has a unique sound. When they're together, there's also this sound that they both create.
Entonces, habiendo emulado esta sensación íntima, luego empecé a jugar con el ritmo, con la subdivisión para generar un poco más de dinámica, hasta que ya entra Kevin, y aquí entra ya un sonido que es Kevin. Es un sonido mucho más dulce, más brillante, y que además empiezo a quitarle el filtro y a sacarlo lentamente del agua hasta que de nuevo todo se llena de luz, y de nuevo nos quedamos en ese cuarto pues de Kevin, que es donde pasa todo.
Oh, I'm ready.
Creating the scene of the brownie was just a magical moment. There's this fantasy touch that I have been trying to add to many of my stories. And they have a different point of view. It's always very interesting bringing fantasy to these stories because it's where you believe it's true.
The first thing that we shot was that cake eating moment, or the ice cream eating moment, and it was really it was all in Juanse's control. I really just, they made it as easy as possible for me to just react and kind of find that first beat to ground Sam, and then after that, then we started chronologically and then worked through the project.
And action. So good, is it again? Oh, yeah, and action. Something I wanted to wait. Move me this time.
Yes.
Out.
Yes, sure. Which
A
one?
little bit of haze.
I got it.
There. Okay, ready? And action. That was awesome. Let's do it again. And ready. Ready and action. Cut, we got it.
And that moment was just the result of all of the other projects I have done. It was that magical, fantastical moment. Just exactly as sometimes I see the world. So it's been very interesting for me as an artist, learning how to incorporate that concept, that feeling, and how it has been evolving through the years.
9. Orsa, take 1. Mark. Sé que a Juan Sebastián le encanta hacer muchísimos planos y eso es maravilloso porque eso es lo que permite que una pieza audiovisual se vea enriquecida, se vea voluminosa, se vea dimensionada. Entonces el poder hacer muchos planos es importante para poder contar las historias que Juan Sebastián quiere contar.
Because I want to create this beat and here and here of that moment.
Es un director al que no le gusta limitarse creativamente, es un director al que le gusta explorar nuevas cosas y retarse a sí mismo en muchos aspectos, creativos y operativos. O sea, él hace la cámara, él hace la fotografía, sí, uno le echa la mano, los que estamos alrededor le echamos la mano porque somos un grupo muy pequeño. Somos un grupo de 5 personas, cada uno sí tiene un cargo, digamos, principal, pero somos un grupo de amigos trabajando, echándonos la mano, que si alguno tiene que mover una luz ahí un poquitico o ajustar una cosita del vestuario o mover un prop o algo, es el que esté ahí a la mano, lo hace y es un apoyo mutuo.
So Angela, it's my AD and script supervisor in Kisses to Kevin. I know Angela Daza for, I don't know, probably 20 years. I studied with her in Colombia, filmmaking in Black Maria when we were very, very young. So it's very special to have friends that you have worked for so many years, that you have studied with them, who you have shared dreams that looked impossible back then, like making a movie in LA. So having the chance to shoot with her projects here in Los Angeles in English for us together is just very magical.
El trabajo con Juan Sebastián Valencia ha sido construido no solamente para este proyecto o por este proyecto, sino que ha sido un trabajo que hemos construido a lo largo de los años.
She is great in what she does. She not only had a huge experience ADing and doing script in important projects in Colombia, in movies and TV shows, but she has also a lot of experience doing it here with many independent movies. So having her as the amazing professional she is, was a real support, especially when I was doing so many jobs. I needed someone that was not going to judge me based on the many decisions that I had to take that maybe they were not the right decision in the film industry, but because we were doing this for YouTube and in a very different pace, I needed someone that was not going to question me, but it was going to support me.
Oh my God, Angela is the best. I have to say that having her on set was incredibly helpful, not only because she is great, she's kind, she's amazing, and she knows this industry so well, but because she was helping me so much with production at the same time. So she was assisting Juan Sebastian, but she was also our script.
And she knows my timing too, so she can help me move faster or focus on the things that I need to focus and take a breath. So it was I think the movie was able to be shot in just one day because I had Angela by my side, helping me move very fast.
Que permite que tú como artista, que tú como miembro de su equipo, sea parte fundamental. O sea, no estás ahí simplemente porque se necesita alguien que haga una labor. Se necesita, más allá que lo puramente operativo, ese input. Él te da la oportunidad de que le ayudes a construir en el set.
We're never going to see it, but you're just for the action.
Got it.
And that's it. But especially, and we're going to apply something here, so you know that you have like the little bit of the red here.
Yeah.
So you can clean it around.
It's funny how LGBT content has always knocked my door in a sort of a way. My first short film that I did when I was in first semester of film school was a gay short film. It's called Tango. And after directing that short film, because it got a little bit of attention, many people started questioning the fact that I was like, are you just going to do LGBT content? People are just going to look for you for LGBT content. People were telling me that I was going to basically be put in a box where I was not going to move from there. And I remember growing up in the film industry in my 20s that people were always mentioning, like, you don't want to be known as the gay director.
And I'd really say the same about Juan, you know, watching the director, Juan, do his thing, it was incredible, honestly. Like, the way that he set up shots, knew exactly what he wanted. He was like a machine, honestly. I've never worked with anyone who knew exactly what he needed and just, like, knocked every single thing out. And his crew was also, I mean, incredible. You know, they would ask him, like, what do you need? Where do we need to do this? They'd constantly be checking up on us. It was just like a really well-oiled machine that I felt really lucky to get the chance to be a part of. And I mean, on top of the fact that they were all like super nice and a lot of fun.
And also being on set with him from the other side of the camera, because usually, because I'm an actress, I'm usually in front of his camera and he's giving me directions and we're creating from like that point of view. I think this time was great for me, just being his producer and being able to serve the project and being able to help him as much as I could. And seeing him as a director, directing the actors and having the set in control. And we had such an amazing crew and we had such an amazing cast. I think that was because of his career, his experience, and his talent to make stories just more amazing.
I absolutely love working with Juanse because, yes, he's a machine for sure, and he has an intention and a vision that he wants to create, but he's also very collaborative too. There were moments where I thought, you know, hey, what if we try this? Or I just even did it. I didn't even ask for permission. I just sort of, you know, explored, like the moment, which I was glad that it made the final take, the moment with the hand and the fan. That was something that was just purely improvised in the moment. And it was just a beautiful sort of serendipity that happens on the day when you create an environment on set that is super collaborative and open and people feel free to explore with whatever they feel like bringing to the table. So I absolutely love working with Juan Sebastian.
Yo siempre he celebrado con Sebas la belleza del amor. Hace un tiempo cuando hicimos Praga, pues para mí eso es una experiencia que llevo en mi corazón porque digamos que a través de esa conocí lo que es el cine, a través de ella conocí al amor de mi vida, la que ahora es mi esposa Alejandra, y que ahora encontrándonos de nuevo con Kisses to Kevin a través de esta canción Never Lonely, que precisamente es una canción que le compuse a ella, pues es una canción, una celebración al amor puro.
Y siempre queremos que cada uno realice lo mejor con lo mejor que hay. Como dice Juan Sebastián, se hace la mejor limonada con los mejores limones. Creo que no está dicho de otra mejor manera que esa.
En este caso hay cosas que se me han facilitado porque me conozco mucho con el director, porque hemos trabajado otras veces, y así como él confía en las ideas más locas que le he dado, yo confío ciegamente en su criterio y en el cuidado que sé que él tiene por el arte. Esto es un trabajo de equipo y una cosa no es más importante que la otra, pero que todas estén bien hechas es la manera de trabajar. Entonces, que el director, es muy, muy lindo para mí que un director sea cuidadoso con el espacio del arte. Entonces, eso hace que sea más llevadero el trabajo.
I have always thought that you need to create art with friends because you are in a different frequency, and that creative frequency, it's very subtle, and it's a thin line. It's a very sensitive frequency, and you need people who speak your own language, who understand your feelings, your heart.
Hasta me tiembla la voz y todo. Es súper especial para nosotros el poder hacer los sueños realidad, porque para nosotros cada uno de los proyectos que se hacen a menor o mayor escala, los proyectos que hacemos juntos son siempre un sueño que se hace realidad. Entonces ver que todo inicia en la cabeza, luego se pasa al papel y luego lo vemos en la pantalla, pues es un proceso maravilloso.
I better be going. Want to have some brownies? I baked some pretty good ones last night.
Want to try some brownies? I made some really good ones last night.
I don't think I can.
I felt a need of telling the stories of my community, stories that were far from the same theme of people not being accepted, of homophobia, of rejection, and instead focusing on stories of love, of heartbreak, of feelings that we as humans experience in our lifetime, and that can be not only relatable in an LGBT community, but in any community.
And so for Juanse to bring to life a story that I think you don't see talk about a whole lot, which is the hookup culture in the LGBT community. And what does that mean? Are we stuck with it? Can it change? Is that even possible? And that conversation is, I'm sure, in the back of heads of many. And so
I do think it's important for the community to tell these kinds of stories for, I mean, so many reasons, but just to show other members, maybe if they're young or they're closeted or whatever the reason, that there is love for you out there, no matter who you choose to love.
Yo creo que no hay nada más emblemático del respeto que la aceptación. Entonces, hacer contenido LGBT es muy importante para nuestra sociedad con el fin de aceptar nuestras diferencias.
To be part of a project that talks to the world and opens a conversation about love is something that we're really excited about.
Me pareció la idea más bella y más simple del mundo, que es contar historias de personas donde la sexualidad no es lo importante.
My main purpose creating Kisses to Kevin and all the LGBT content is just adding to the conversation, but also giving people hope of a love story that I feel the LGBT community has always been not only afraid of having, but society in a way has always made it difficult for us to believe it's a possibility.
My hope for it is that, I don't know, like I said earlier, I hope that some kid comes across it and it makes their day, or I hope it challenges the way that someone thinks about something, and my hope is just that it brings light and happiness and love into people's lives, because that's what I love doing and that's why I'm doing this. So yeah, it's been cool talking, and I'm gonna go because I'm incredibly awkwardly weird. All right, this has been cool. Yeah, Michael played Kevin. Bye guys.